Welcome back. It's been about 20 minutes and our dough has just been sitting here resting, taking a little time out. I will use the scraper to help to sort of loosen it from the countertop, but I'm not adding any flour. And so now is the fun part of kneading. This is a technique that I learned from Richard Bourdonnais. He's the one I was telling you about, that he's got a cookbook called Dough, D-O-U-G-H. And this is called the slap and fold, as is pretty obvious. So it's still a very sticky dough. And what this does, in addition to just being super fun, is it gives you a lot of air in your dough. And Richard does do this really from the beginning, even when that dough is really shaggy, is what they like to call it. He likes to do this technique. I can't really stand doing it when it's that messy and there's that much flour. I just don't have the patience for it. But at this stage, the dough is nice and loose. Not loose. It has rested. It is looser than it was. I'm not sure I do it the right way. He probably does. This way it's a pretend baking show. I'm not pretending that I am any kind of expert. I just like it. And if you're wondering why I'm even making these stupid videos, it's because I'm tired of being home alone. And I just figured this is a way to connect with you all and to have guests on my show. Catherine is making her no knead focaccia today, and she posted a video last night, and I am so grateful because I loved watching her in her kitchen, and she was talking us through her recipe, so that's super fun. And my friend Amy is also baking this weekend. She's going to be making some tortillas and some soda bread, and I'm really hoping that she will make a little video for us and share. Anybody else who wants to bake along in our pretend, we'll call it everybody's pretend baking show. That would be so lovely, so we can have some kind of social outlet while we are all stuck at home alone. So please join us and teach us something that you know. I like to bake. I don't really love to cook. I can cook, but I don't love it. So this is what I'm choosing. I gotta move, it's making me crazy with the sound. But if you want to do a pretend cooking show, please do that. Jennifer Garner, the actress, she has a pretend cooking show that she does, and hers is legit. Like, come on. She's, I'm sure, got producers and editors, and so ours is not that. You do not have to put your clothes, you can wear your pajamas, you can, don't have to brush your hair. This is the whole point of a pretend baking show. It's all about being real. This is just real, folks. Okay, so now I'm getting annoyed with this technique because I don't have the patience for it. Okay, but I've shown you, so now you've seen it. So this is, I'm gonna go back to the technique I like better, which is, I like to fold it over, and then I like to rotate the dough 90 degrees, and with the palm of my hand, I like to push it. And I do like, see, this just makes me happy at this point. The dough is nice and supple at this point. So really, what we're trying to get to is, how do you know if you've kneaded it long enough? So this is a question I have been asking and reading in all these books. And a couple of ways you can tell. Like, one is you just look at it. If the surface is nice and smooth, let's do a close-up. That surface is beautiful, but it's still pretty sticky. That's okay, it's a sticky dough. So the surface is pretty smooth, so that's a good sign. If your surface would be torn up like that, you would know you need to knead more. Really, you cannot over knead it if you are doing it by hand. I've read that. Say if you are not tired at the end of the process, then you probably haven't kneaded it enough. Another technique you can do to see if you've kneaded it long enough and I don't think I have, but I'm going to just show you, is you make it, so this is starting to look right. You press it and it should bounce back. If it doesn't bounce back, then you know you haven't kneaded it enough. So mine is bouncing back. That's really good. But the technique I like is the window pane technique, where you take your dough, don't do it right at the edge, but sort of do it in the middle. You want to stretch it and see if you can get it thin, like a window pane, and see through without it breaking. So mine is starting to break right there. I knew it wasn't quite ready, but it's close. So that's the window pane technique that we will be using today. So I'm going to keep kneading, and we're going to just keep chatting. I'm actually thinking maybe we'll do this by like Facebook Live and have, no, I can't do that because I can't read the screen while I'm doing this. I think we should have guest bakers, maybe using Zoom. What do you think? We just got to have some social activities, folks, while we're all stuck at home. It is not the easiest thing in the whole world for us extroverts to be stuck at home. For real, like we get a lot of energy by being around other people, and so it makes, someone was talking on Facebook yesterday about, you know, how for introverts it's very awesome to be home, not around a lot of other people. And she was asking what it felt like for extroverts to stay at home. And she was I think it was Natasha who was asking. She was saying, so is one other person enough, you know, to sort of take care of all of your extroverting needs? And I said, no, it is not. To me, extroversion it gives me a lot of energy. I really like being around other people. I get that energy from them. It absolutely feels like it recharges my batteries. And I was saying that if you're around other extroverts, it can work both ways. Like it shouldn't drain the other person. Ideally, both people feel energized by it. So anyway, it also feels a little bit like restlessness to me. So I have to go on lots of runs, and I have to knead my dough. It's an important thing. Anyway, let's go back and do our window pane test. That looks pretty good. It's still, okay, I'm gonna go a little longer because I think we could get away with it with this recipe. Because this recipe, we're gonna let it sit in the bowl for its first rise for about 3 hours. And every hour or so, we're gonna do a turn. We're gonna, I'll show you what that looks like. We're gonna do a little bit of a turn on it. And that process continues to develop the gluten. And when we fold the dough during that first big rise of 3 hours, I do the window pane test through that process, and it's pretty cool. All right, so I don't know, maybe some of you who are real bakers will tell me, Julie, that wasn't long enough to knead. I don't know, you guys can chime in. So we're gonna call it done. So I have a bowl, it's the same bowl that I like to work with through the whole process. And I have put a tiny bit of canola oil in the bowl so that, because it's a sticky dough, I don't want it to stick to the side because it will start to tear the glutens. Yeah, you're probably gonna be like, Julie, you didn't knead it long enough. It's still very sticky. I don't know, guys. This is how I do it. All right, I'm tossing it around a little bit just so I get the oil all the way around on the dough surface so that it doesn't stick to the side of the bowl. I'm going to put it in my oven to let it proof for an hour, and then I'm going to fold it. And my house right now is about 72 degrees, so I could leave it on the counter. If your house is cold, you need to put it somewhere warm. I think you do. But I will see you in an hour.